Am I the a-hole for telling my sister she can't visit if she's going to make my husband uncomfortable? I hate that I'm throwing this stuff on the internet for reassurance, but my whole family is angry at me, and I kind of feel like I unnecessarily flipped out. I'm very close with my mom and sister. They visited and have dinner with us all the time. Our family is real touchy-feely. It's never made us uncomfortable, and it just thought of us being friendly. My husband absolutely does not feel that way. For a few different reasons, he hates to be touched. It took halfway into our relationship before he was comfortable with me touching him. He's incredibly sweet and loving. It's just things like that put him on edge. My sister is incapable of understanding this. Every time she comes over, she comes up behind him and scares the life out of him or grabs him in big unexpected hugs. Every conversation has a hand on his arm or something. This isn't abnormal for her, but he obviously hates it. Now he doesn't like to say anything and tells me it doesn't bother him. But he visibly just about jumps out of his skin every time. It makes him not want to conversate or be around us. She just kind of overwhelms him into standing in the back of the room in silence. I brought it up to my sister several times how much he dislikes that. She laughs about how shy he is, says he'll get over it. We've been married 4 years. It's reached the point where he just sits in our bedroom through the evenings when my family are here. Yesterday, I sent my sister a text that said she had to realize how uncomfortable she makes my husband every time she visits, and if she couldn't keep her hands to herself, I didn't want her over anymore. She immediately called me all worked up, saying she didn't mean to and how she was just trying to be nice and make him feel like family. She got upset and hung up on me. And then my mom rings me about how immature we're both being and how we're making a big deal over basic social friendliness. She even called me dirty-minded for saying she was too much. They're so put out about it that I've stopped responding to them. My husband feels terrible and thinks this stupid argument is all his fault, and everyone feels like garbage. Should I have just left it alone? I still think I should have said something, but it feels like I just made everything worse. Top comments. Not the a-hole. Your sister has to understand that your husband has boundaries, regardless of him being part of your family now. It's not his fault or yours. You're just standing up for your husband and telling your sister about his boundaries. He has the right to feel whatever he wants to feel, especially in his own home. They shouldn't come over if they can't respect his boundaries with them. Absolutely right. All I would like to add that OP, you're a very good partner to your husband, not the a-hole. It took more than 4 years of OP's sister making her husband uncomfortable for her to finally take a stand. She is not a good partner. It's reached the point where he just sits in our bedroom through the evenings. My families are here. This is what changed. He reached his threshold and she finally realized the effect it was having on him. He should have communicated his discomfort directly to the sister and his wife instead of trying to work through it. The wife is standing up for her husband because he doesn't want to make waves. He needs to be able to express his own boundaries. OP is not at all the a-hole for trying to respect their partner's boundaries. OP's sister may be a touchy-feely sort of person. However, that doesn't mean she can force her level of sociability onto another person. If OP's sister really wanted to express care and gratitude for the partner, she would accept him for who he is and not overstep his boundaries. I think OP is doing the right thing by setting guidelines on how to be respectful of their spouse. It might be best that the sister not come over to visit if she refuses to be courteous of OP's partner. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister that her parents don't have to agree with her relationship? My 21 female sister isn't accepted by my 29 male parents for being gay. Throwaway account so my family can't link this back to me. For some context, my little sister is a lesbian. Our family does not support her decisions, but I don't care who she sleeps with. When she came out, she was distanced from the family, but we started talking again after finding out our father is dying. After things in the family being rocky for a long time, we decided to all get together at my parents' house. My dad said he wanted to put all the drama and bickering aside, and if we have a problem with each other, we can wait until he passes. Everyone agrees, including my sister, so I was expecting to have a nice family barbecue. My family wanted to meet my sister's girlfriend and insisted that she brought her over. We were all excited to meet her. My sister's girlfriend seemed like a nice girl, but she was very standoffish. She kept to herself and didn't speak much to my parents and me. For the most part, she was glued to my sister. This caused some awkward silence. I started asking about their relationship. How did they meet? How long have they been together? And I even joked around about if she hurt my sister, blah blah blah. My parents started acting stranger by each question. I asked my mom what was wrong, and her response was, "This isn't right." I could tell my sister and her girlfriend were uncomfortable, and my dad tried to calm my mom down. My sister, probably fed up with being treated like garbage for the last few years, spoke up and asked my parents what was the point of inviting them if she isn't going to be okay with seeing them together. This caused my mother to explode with anger because she felt my sister was being disrespectful. My mother goes on to say a lot of other things that I'm not going to say because I will be banned. My sister started to cry and hyperventilate. Her girlfriend starts to comfort her and tries to get her to calm down. And this causes my mom to tell her that if you're going to be dramatic and act like a child, you need to leave. You're upsetting your father. Before my sister could respond, her girlfriend is grabbing their things and taking my sister to the car. I tried to rationalize this whole situation with my parents. They were no use. They thought she was putting on a show in front of her girlfriend to make them look bad. They proceeded to say that they're allowed to be uncomfortable and feel differently than her. I explained to them that this is who she loves. No one has to agree with it, but we should still love her. I've tried talking to my sister about the whole situation, and apparently I defend our parents too much. I told her that our parents don't have to agree with her relationship, but they should. She told me that I'm being an a-hole for expecting her to pretend to be someone else just because our dad is dying. Am I the a-hole? Top comments. Stop trying to walk some higher middle ground. Your parents suck. Support your sister. You're the a-hole. The funny part is that the middle ground of doing nothing to shut down a bigot isn't any better than actually being a bigot. But I didn't say her sexual orientation is wrong. But your actions demonstrate that you don't want to disagree with the views of the a-hole who said it was, and actions speak a lot louder than words. He also calls it a choice on his sister's part, so it's pretty clear where he stands. Edited to fix pronouns. It is a choice. His sister can 1. Choose to conform to her parents' ideals and probably be horrendously unhappy, aka living a lie. Or 2. Be true to herself and love the person who she falls in love with and live a long, loving, and emotionally healthy life. Of course, choice 2 is the right thing to do, but you can't answer that question until you are in that person's shoes. Also, it is clear that OP was not intending to over-trivialize homosexuality. Someone's sexuality is not a choice, no more than your eye color is. If it was, many gay and lesbian people probably would not choose to be because of all the difficulties it causes them, such as having a-hole parents who pretty much disown you for something you don't have any control over. In this situation, OP definitely should have stepped up to support their sister. It sounds like OP's sister already has very few people in their life that love and support them after coming out, and would likely benefit from OP standing up for her in that situation. Like some of the other commentators said, standing by and watching their sister get harassed by their parents made the OP just as bad. OP's sister has every right to feel angry towards them for not backing her, and for trying to make excuses for the parents. When it comes to bigotry and homophobia, there really isn't a middle ground. Am I the a-hole for going to my sister's university? Me and my sister used to be close, but when I was 5 and she was 7, I got sick up until I was 15. Because I was sick, my parents often stopped her from doing normal things on my account. At first, I was okay with her doing kid stuff, but at one point I got bitter and kind of guilt-tripped my parents and her to let her stay with me, but I did that up until I was 12. After I noticed that it was leading to a strain in our relationship and her hating me, I tried to get back on her good side because she was no longer enthusiastic to stay with me like before. And we would play games, and she would sing and do things with me. I tried to convince my parents to let her do stuff because she would come back from school, then spend 5 to 7 hours with me, then go home, and that cycle would repeat itself. But my parents still insisted on it and thought I was being brave, even though I would beg them to let her have a life. When I turned 15, I had surgery and was doing better, but I was still dealing with some of the side effects from the drugs I was taking. That only lasted for a year. My parents had finally let her do things she wanted to do. This was like midway through her junior year, but the damage was already done. She had stopped communicating with me and my parents. Like when we'd sit down to dinner and she'd only say one word to my parents and then lock the door to her room. And she did not have any friends. She told my aunt, and my aunt told my parents because she was worried about her mental health. My parents tried to do family therapy before she left for college, but she still didn't communicate. She can literally spend a whole month without saying a word to anyone. When she went to college, she cut off her parents and me. She changed her number and everything. Last year, after doing some research, I found her on Instagram. She seemed much happier there. Found out her university and applied there. I wanted to rekindle our relationship now that she seemed to be in a better mental space. Last semester, I contacted her through university email and told her we could meet for coffee. She ignored all of my emails. This year, I decided to be more direct, so I went to her student organization and told her hi. She ignored me, but her friends asked who I was and I told them I was her sister, and they seemed surprised because she didn't mention me. She then told me she would go to a cafe, and she chewed me out for picking this university. She referred to it as her safe space. I'm now feeling like I may have gone about this the wrong way, but at the same time, I just wanted us to be close again. Am I the a-hole? Top comments. You're the a-hole. She want no contact, so instead of respecting her decision, you stalk her, apply, and go to the same college and expect her to be happy? I would not be surprised if her sister transfers to another school. Hopefully she doesn't, and makes complaints to the school and/or police for harassment. What would she report? That her sister attended the same college and approached her to talk? That's not a crime. Unless OP goes over the line, example, starts following her everywhere, breaks into her home/dorm, makes threats, etc. This isn't a police matter. Edit. I see OP made a comment she sent hundreds of emails, not a few like originally portrayed. If that's true, I'll change my judgment. She's gone over the line and is actually harassing her sister. OP is just as much the product of bad parenting as her sister. As a preteen that was sick and not able to live a normal life, they reacted out of jealousy. The parents overcorrected and destroyed their relationship. It sounds like OP is an overly sheltered child reaching out to a sibling they idolized. OP should respect their siblings' wish not to interact, but I am sad their parents stole their relationship. I understand that OP wants to rekindle the tumultuous relationship they have with their sister. However, OP's sister may not be ready or in the space where she feels comfortable with rehashing old issues. It sounds like growing up, OP's sister was not allowed to socialize or do activities outside of the home due to OP's illness. Now that OP's sister is in college, she's finally getting the opportunity to find herself and discover who she is. In order to do that, she needs space. OP needs to respect that, and maybe in time, OP's sister will be ready to talk. Am I the a-hole for embarrassing my sister's friend and making her feel unwelcome? My sister, cousin, and a couple friends came over last night after work. My sister brought a friend of hers I'd only met a few times that I've never had an issue with. At one point, I went to the bathroom and the ladies were in the living room, calmly enjoying wine. When I came out, my sister's friend was in the kitchen, arguing with my son. I asked her what she was doing. She said my son went into the kitchen to get food, and she told him to wait until I came out of the bathroom to ask me for permission. I stared at her for a second and then said, "Who the heck are you? You don't live here, he does. Who are you to tell him he can't go in his own kitchen?" She looked surprised, and she said she was trying to be helpful. I repeated my question of why she thought it was okay to tell someone they can't use their kitchen when she's a guest in someone else's house. She dodged the question and then brought up that she's a teacher, which isn't even relevant, and sometimes kids try to get around rules. I asked her what that has to do with anything. I then asked who even gave her permission to go in my kitchen. She said she followed my son in. I said, "So you think my son needs permission to go in his own kitchen, but you can go wherever you like in my house without invitation? So you have more rights here than he does." She said she didn't feel welcome anymore and was leaving. She went back in the living room, grabbed her bag, and walked out. My sister asked what happened, and I explained that she had a disagreement with my son. My cousin and some of the other ladies said they thought it was strange she followed him into the kitchen and had been wondering why she did that, and thought her motive was weird as hell. My sister and a couple other ladies said her behavior was perfectly normal and I was unnecessarily hostile to her. My cousin said, "But why would you confront a child you don't know instead of saying something to the aunt who's right here? That's so weird." Everyone but my sister acknowledged that part was weird, and we all moved on. Later, my sister confronted me privately and said she was upset I chased off her friend. She said she really likes this woman, and that I was way over the top in the way I spoke to her. I can be a little extra when it comes to defending my kid. So was I an a-hole? Top comments. Not the a-hole. This lady way overstepped, and you corrected her in a way that most parents would when their child is being attacked, and he was. You should sleep well knowing you did the right thing, and your son will sleep better knowing his parent 100% has his back. Your sister can be upset that a confrontation happened between a friend and her sibling, but her friend was way out of line. Yeah, my sister would have been the one telling her friend off if that happened to one of our kids. Met casually just a few times, first time in OP's house, immediately starts ordering around her kid, over food, in the fridge. Yeah, that ain't normal. Agreed. And as much as I don't like confrontation, people like this need to be called out so they don't continually do it and think it's okay because nobody says anything. OP was 100% in the right here. It's incredibly weird that a woman who is a complete stranger to you and your child followed them around the house and policed your child. Over food, no less. The sister's friend sounds like an Almond mom. She had no right to implement her own strict parenting style onto a child she didn't know, and OP had every right to call her out for her entitlement. I also think it's strange that OP's sister defended her friend in this situation, and it says something about her character. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to give my sister back her child after taking full custody for 5 years? Newly made throwaway account. I, 30 female, have been taking care of my niece, now 7 female, for the past 5 years, after my sister, 32 female, abandoned her at my doorstep and disappeared. My sister was going through a difficult time with her mental health, and she was unable to provide a stable environment for her daughter. At the time, I didn't hesitate to take my niece in and provide for her with a loving and secure home. When my sister left her daughter with me, she didn't leave any contact information, and we had no way of reaching her. We searched for her, but we couldn't find any leads. I was left with no choice but to take full custody of my niece, and I have been her primary caregiver ever since. During the past 5 years, I have watched my niece grow into an amazing young girl. I have provided her with a stable and secure environment, and I have been there for her during all the milestones. I have taken her to school, helped her with her homework, taken her to doctor's appointments, and celebrated her birthdays with her. Recently, my sister has reached out to me, and she informed me that she's doing better with her mental health and wants her daughter back. Although I'm happy that my sister is doing better, I'm not ready to give up custody of my niece. My niece has become a bigger part of my life, and I love her like my own child. My sister has been threatening to take legal action against me if I don't give her daughter back. However, I'm not afraid. My best friend is a lawyer who specializes in custody cases, and I'm prepared to fight for my niece's best interests. I understand that my sister is the biological mother of my niece, but I feel like I'm the only mother figure she has known for the past 5 years. I'm torn between my love for my niece and my loyalty to my sister. Am I the a-hole for refusing to give my sister back her child? TLDR, am I the a-hole for not wanting to give my sister back her daughter after taking full custody of her for 5 years due to her mental health issues? My sister has reached out saying she's doing better and wants her daughter back, but I love my niece and don't want to give her up. My sister is threatening legal action, but I'm prepared to fight for my niece's best interests. Top comments. You're the only mother she has ever known. Fight this with every ounce of strength and every penny you have. Well done and good luck. Not the a-hole. If your sister really wants to come back in and build a relationship, she's got to understand she is a stranger to this little girl. How about staying over a night to visit you, having a park playdate, even just going to a cafe together for lunch? Not the a-hole. In fact, you're amazing for stepping up as a parent. The fact she bounced back out of nowhere and dropped a lawsuit threat without trying to even say hi to her child tells you everything. Not the a-hole. This Do not give in. Get your lawyer friend and retainer and comply with court orders, but that's it. I don't know if it's possible since she's reached out, but ask about termination of parental rights or legal adoption of niece. File from where you and niece reside. I would be proactive about securing her future with you. Wait. So sister no longer even knows who the child is but wants full custody after literally abandoning her and disappearing for 5 freaking years? And hasn't even spent any time with the child to get to know her. She just phones in and says, "Hi, yeah, I'm good now, so hand over the child I completely abandoned. If you don't, I'll sue." For real? Yeah, hard pass, not the a-hole. Go to court and fight for full custody if you don't already have it. Get your lawyer friend working on it yesterday. You can love your sister and have her back, but she is most definitely not okay. Protect your daughter. Fingers are crossed that she already has full parental rights. It would have been necessary for a lot of things, but the school or doctor's office might not have checked what her legal relationship was with the child. OP has spent the last 5 years of her life raising, caring for, and loving their niece, who they likely see as a daughter. OP has no legal or moral obligation to give their sister full custody of their child. If OP's sister really cared about the well-being of the child, she would allow the little girl to stay with the only mother she's ever really known. If not for this situation, OP's sister and the little girl may benefit from spending some quality time together on playdates and getting to know each other as family. However, OP's sister is threatening legal action and may not be safe around the child. At the end of the day, the child is still OP's daughter, and there's likely nothing that will separate their bond. Thanks for watching, and let me know down below if you agree with the verdict. Also, consider checking out my other channel, Star_Vingart, where I post my artwork, and my Etsy, StarVingartCompany, where I sell my art prints and stickers. Bye!